It's Genshin time. Come on, grab your friends. Welcome everyone. Back to Genshin. I have some really early work and I'll be going on holidays next weekend, so I'm getting my Genshin day done early this week. Also, I just wanted to finish the event. So, time to sit back, relax, and enjoy some good old Genshin goodness. No. And I'm on the wrong page. Ha! Yay. Ah! Hey, this bearing is too large, it won't fit. Too small. Too small last time, too big now. I need my iron chunk. In fact, you're also trying to use all Amora. What are you arguing about? The man asked me to forge a lot of iron tubes with different requirements. One very. I'm already using up all my iron chunks for things for him. And he doesn't think it's enough. He won't want even more here. Allow me to explain my work. I'm sure you understand. Mr. Garcia and all the Egarnians. Traveler, Mr. Garcia needs a favor. Can you collect some iron chunk for us? About that, we've encountered some challenges. We're expecting Mr. Garcia to still pondering it. Students, if you should interest at some point in the future, feel free to ask Mr. Garcia. It feels like not really understanding exactly the mechanics behind the machine. Before, please bring us iron chunk. Bring iron chunk. Okay. I thought you guys should stop talking. I haven't finished my explanation. Now those iron chunks go back to work. Back off. I'm gonna swing his hammer so fiercely that Garcia's back away from him. Let's leave. Mr. Virginia for his work. Here's your payment. That means so much. Thank you, traveler. You're as pessimistic about this. Mr. Garcia is genius with machines, but that's much beyond doubt. But if you ask me, the machines that Garcia envisions requires much more than just one genius. There's another event going on. I finished this one. This one's almost finished. So we do that, then we can do the other event. It took some time for that triggers up. Let's get this event out of the way then.
Good roll.
I gotta do this quest first.
All right, maybe I'll take.
I guess. Oh, this is still like the prerequisite quest. Get back to me now. How could this happen to me? A writer's block. Traveler. Don't mention that. Don't mention the novel. I'm touching work on the genius unification (GCG). It's really holding together. And to the researcher, I know quite well the team encountered a kind of problem. Described baffling. For example, Havata researchers suddenly asked a question one day. That if the effects description on the cards are too long, you might distract people who aren't used to reading long blocks of text or playing the game. Creatures are used to reading large chunks of text that aren't affected by this issue, but long descriptions can be very well turn potential players away. Especially by cutting the amount of text on the cards in half to make them easier to read. Not that long. I Probably not to me, but the research is still working hard on this issue. After all, about the player's experience, the fewer the problems, the better. Anyway, there's even a big problem. They promised to help me find models for my novel, but something went wrong with that too. Remember, I told you earlier that about a researcher you said they'd introduced me to Ken Ignari and Sino, and asked them to finish my novel. But they were so busy I didn't think I'd count them for a while. Who received me is not able to help me with this, but give me an idea. He said that Sino sometimes goes by the Pacific Cafe to play cards. For once, I can try my luck there first. Maybe they'll help me in touch with the other three. What are your thoughts? By the time they're free, I'll finish the writing. Or I'll do it myself. Let's see if I can find Sino. If I'm lucky, I'll meet Sino at the cafe, or how should I introduce myself to Llama? That sounded pretty well. Really, that's amazing. Then, how did you... Oh, I know what. I'm not going to play any further. What are we waiting for then? Let's head to the Pacific Cafe right now. I hope we'll be able to catch Sino. Is Sino in here? Or will he be missing? Sino is here.
Everyone hold hands! Wait!
Oh, it's definitely going to be a hit.
The legend of the ancient hero.
That designer. His outfit, the hairstyle, that hair color. Exactly what the protagonist of a card game novel should look like. Actually, I know quite a lot of people who can fit that category. Really? That's great. I'm working on the third book of King of Vacation this time. I'm not going to make the base of the gameplay mechanic continuous vacation. I'm going to create an all new way of playing, for instance. You can get all the cards to be suspended mid-air on the field. Players will have to collect cards to consider the next move while preventing the other player from collecting cards. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. But we have time for that right now. Now, please ask Sino to be a model for my novel. Counting on you.
How can I win using an offer a combo? There must be even more secrets.
Combination of card is bad, but they're not strong enough to deal a quick attack. What are you up to, Sino? Nice here. I'm in the middle of trying to build a genius unification deck relatively slow attacks. I think that the deck will allow other players to obtain a champion resource near powerful. To be honest, it's hard to build a deck like that. Apparently, the unification community, some players prefer to use cards at fast attacks. At the beginning of the game, they play a large number of cards in one go, while to swiftly defeat their opponent. I'm not a fan of this attack. I prefer to continuously accumulate resources in ways. Using every possible opportunity to build up my advantage, eventually securing the victory. Wonderful, just like the main character of my novel. So, this is the author of King of Vacations. Hello, General Matamara. I suppose you've heard of me? I've read your novels. It's very good. I'm truly honored. In the novel, every time the protagonist has that disadvantage, he always manages to get a card that wasn't in his deck through various means. The featured opponent left lasting impression on me. Welcome, NASCAR. Doing good, thank you. I understand that writing novels requires taking creative licenses, but this way of winning is a departure from the fundamental mechanics of Geniusification TTs. About that. Although I do play Geniusification TCG a lot, I'm not really good at it. If you're right about the dual competitive mindset, it wouldn't make for an interesting story. I guess so. Well, as luck would have it, I built 2 decks of cards. I'm gonna play a few rounds of Geniusification here. Maybe you'll find some inspiration. I know, just wants to play cards. That's all Sino wants to do. But you're the head of the secret police and he just wants to play card games. With you, Lottie, the truth is... asking me to model for the illustration of thingy vacation. That's certainly no problem. Hey, traveler, quickly! Help me take some pictures! Ah! Thank you so much, Sana. I'm sure to send you a copy. Send you a copy of the novels as soon as it's published. Sana, the two decks you were holding are. Didn't you promise to play a few games of identification with me earlier? I thought they were good at it. However, you're definitely better than me. I've actually played it. I actually have a deck. It matters settled. Yeah, take this quick attack deck. I'm going to use this relatively slow deck. I can deal with your attack. I'll do my best, Dino. Good. Oh god, the Celia! Actually playing cards. Your playstyle is so slow and deliberate. Just a bit distracted.
Everyone hold hands! I see everything!
The legend of the ancient hero.
I get back to the main story quest now. I'm still blocked. I can get back to the story now. Then I just have to play card games if I continue the story. God damn nerds.
It feels like something's been on your mind this entire time.
Let myself was a bit
Traveler,
started.
Paimon. I finally found you.
Finally? Did something happen?
Don't you feel like there's something off about this year's Academia Extravaganza? When Candace and I were at the cafe earlier, we might have caught sight of some mercs on business. Thing is, they were disguised as tourists here to shop. But no disguise can mask the stench of blood. Just from their suspicious looks, I bet they do dirty work like kidnapping or assassinations.
That escalated
We
quickly.
eavesdropped on them for a while. Their target seems to be someone called Sachin.
Sachin? Isn't that the person who Karina mentioned during the opening ceremony? He's apparently the sponsor behind the competition prizes and the Diadem of Knowledge, but he hasn't shown himself at all.
Sounds like a rich person, all right. It makes sense now. The Eremites have been struggling to make ends meet recently, so a lot of groups have been doing private work that involves the rich. In their words, one gig sets you up for half a year. Just one job like this nets them enough mora to take it easy for a while.
The extravaganza has brought many tourists to Sumeru City all at once, so it's likely that they took advantage of the bustle to sneak in. Dia and I wanted to directly capture them, but they were on guard and made some excuse to slip away.
I would have tied him up if it wouldn't have caused a scene. Who's legally supposed to take care of this kind of thing? The Matra or the Core of 30?
If Sino were here, he'd definitely get involved. Why don't we head over to the Academia and tell Amatra? Thanks a million, you two.
Not at all. It was coincidence on our part as well.
Yeah, don't sweat it. The Eremites' reputation is gonna get even worse if these scumbags succeed. But this is Sumeru City. Candace and I don't have as much freedom to act here, so we're leaving this in your hands.
Should you require our aid, come find us at the cafe.
Paimon's just noticed that something's bugging you. Is it the extravaganza? 'Cause Paimon's starting to think that there's more than meets the eye here, too. But thinking like this isn't doing anything. Let's just go find Amatra.
Sure, tell the police. Yes, good idea. I'm not running up there. Goddamn Tree City.
Hey, isn't that the Matra we investigated Siraj with? Arav, wasn't it? Let's go talk to him.
What are you thinking? Let's have your god read your mind.
Hello, both. It's been a while. Do you have any issues to report? Someone's planning to kidnap Sachin. Goodness. Though I suppose it's not all that surprising. The growing popularity of the extravaganza has given him quite the reputation boost as its sponsor. He's seen as one of these super rich types.
Well, since he's got a target on his back now, shouldn't you send some people to protect him?
To tell you the truth, we've thought about doing just that. However, Sachin apparently prefers to spend most of his time out doing field work, and hardly ever comes back to Sumeru City. No one has been able to contact him. Our only lead is something he once said. Each time the Inter-Darshan Championship is held, I will be watching from close by to choose a suitable person to inherit my estate. Assuming he remains committed to that promise, then he must be right here in the city somewhere. I suspect that the Eremites in question must have heard about that as well, and decided to come here and try their luck.
So they shouldn't know where Sachin is either, right?
I would assume not. Anyway, Mahamatra Saino is still on vacation, so I'll handle this. Don't you worry. A couple of kidnappers aren't gonna get very far in Sumeru City these days. I have my ways of forcing them out into the open. All of that said, if you're interested in Sachin's story, why don't you try tracking him down as well? The sooner we ascertain his whereabouts, the quicker we can act to ensure his safety. I mean, you could task all the Matra and the whole Corps of 30 with someone's protection, but if the client doesn't show themselves, there's nothing we can do to help them.
Fair point. Guess we should start searching for him too, but where should we start?
None, I'm afraid. He's never committed any crimes or broken academic protocol, so we don't have a very detailed file on him. I've heard that Alhaitham has now stepped down from his post as acting Grand Sage and is back to being the scribe again. Maybe it's worth checking to see if he knows anything.
Good idea! Okay, we'll head back to the extravaganza venue and see if we can find him. Hey!
That was not making much.
Hey, Nilu! Have you seen Alhaitham anywhere?
Alhaitham? Why, what is it?
We're trying to track down someone and we need him to pull up some records for us.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I don't know where he went. He's always the first to leave after the competition ends, and he never tells anyone where he'll be going.
Huh. Yeah, actually, that sounds about right for him.
Let me think. To be honest, he doesn't seem very interested in the extravaganza, so he probably doesn't stick around longer than he has to. To him, being a commentator is just extra work he was roped into. Do you guys know of any places he'd go after work? There's still one more round to go. Would he really go to a tavern in the middle of the competition?
Oh, here's a thought. Maybe he just went straight home. Paimon remembers that his house isn't that far from here, so we might as well check it out.
Haytham's house. This is old Haytham's house. I can go up there. You give old Haytham a new house for this quest. Or they picked the wrong house for the event.
Let's try knocking. No answer? Maybe no one's home. Hello? Oh, Haytham? Are you in? We need your help with something.
Oh, it's you two?
Oh, Kaveh, you're home.
Come on in. I'll get the door for you.
We didn't hear a peep when we first knocked. We thought no one was home.
Well, I can't be too careful. If someone from the academia came here looking for Alhaitham, and I opened the door for them without thinking, before long the whole city would know that I'm living here.
You're pretty conscientious about this, huh? So, what happens if someone comes inside looking for him while you're at home?
It's fine, as long as I stay in my own room. Anyway, why would someone just barge in here looking for him? Most people have better things to do.
Fair enough. So do you know where he is at the moment?
What do you think? Who knows what he does in his free time? All that matters to me is that he's out of the house. I wouldn't call it that. He's just incapable of saying anything pleasant at all. I told him how the second round went. I won the lot draw, remember? Because of good karma, of course. My luck's on the rise. But him, being him... you wouldn't believe what he said after I was done talking! You're always quick to remind me that you're my upperclassman, and yet you do not problem solve in the manner becoming of an upperclassman. This begs the question of why we attach prestige to seniority at all. What does he mean, manner becoming of an upperclassman? What, am I supposed to earn the title of upperclassman now? And he didn't stop there. He said, I'd encourage you to reflect on why you've ended up having to rely on luck every round. Frankly, it's incomprehensible to me how you've managed to make it to this age without acknowledging the proverbial elephant in the room of your life.
Yeah, that does sound like something Alhaitham would say.
I've had it with him. Every time I talk to him, it's the same way. He finds a way to infuriate me every single time. Anyway, the disdain is very much mutual between us, so I'll be moving out as soon as possible. I'm actually packing my things right now. He'll have to get used to doing his own cleaning and tidying from now on. See those perfectly hung paintings on the walls? They're coming with me too. If his life wasn't utterly devoid of artistic sensibility already, it certainly will be after today.
Wait,
Oh,
you're moving out already?
Love is
But the
fighting.
competition isn't even over yet. How can you afford it?
Well, obviously I can't just yet. I'm just packing early to get ahead of the game. I've got my new place picked out already. The moment I have my hands on the prize money, I'm going to buy it and move my things right in. It'll take me 3 days tops to move out of here for good. I now know what I have to do to achieve this goal. No matter what happens in the third round, I will win. I will emerge triumphant. You'll see.
Well, we'll be rooting for you. But are you sure you'll be all right?
In what way?
Layla said that she thinks you'll get caught up in internal conflict.
Meaning what exactly? Oh, don't tell me you think I have serious personality flaws too.
Oh, we didn't say that. But think about it. You say you want to win, but you also turned Faruzan down when she offered to give you her points. Plus, you took it upon yourself to help those desert foxes.
Wait, what's so unusual about all that? I gave you my reasons. I would have felt guilty otherwise. Where's the conflict in that?
He's in the middle of a major competition and he just kept getting chased and attacked by foxes the entire time.
Well, when you put it like that, yes, why indeed? It's a good question. I guess it's just in my nature. Plus, if I just did nothing, then there'd be no escaping the blame if something bad came of it later down the line.
But thinking like that all the time must make your life so exhausting. Not to mention that by helping out, you put yourself at risk. Fainting in the middle of the desert, for example. Was that really worth it?
It's complicated. Look, let's maybe leave this conversation for another time. What was it you needed Alhatham's help with, anyway? Sachin. Huh. He did actually mention a Sachin recently. I remember he brought a few documents home that day. He was thinking out loud as he looked through them, making some notes and doodling as he went. He even suggested that I should take a look, but I didn't. Give me a moment. Let me go find them. Ah, this is the one. Here, take it.
You sure he'd be okay with this?
With taking liberties? He's certainly okay with helping himself to my beer whenever he pleases. And anyway, he did ask me if I wanted to read his notes. I didn't see the point at the time, so he just left them on the side. He doesn't leave documents lying around unless he's okay with other people reading them. It's fine, I promise.
Cool, if you say so. Okay, let's see what he's got on Sachin.
One documentary paper.
Did he leave these notes there on purpose? Or was this sheer coincidence? No. But if it wasn't a coincidence, then... I fetched the documents for you. Feel free to look through them at your leisure.
That was a lot of information. Paimon's getting a headache. So, to sum up, Sachin put the academia in charge of managing his estate and went off to do research, right? He even said that if he really liked one of the contestants, he wouldn't just give them a reward, but his entire estate as well. Oh, that must be worth heaps and heaps of Mora.
What? Are you serious? All of Sachin's wealth, that's more than I could spend in a lifetime, surely. Heck, if I got chosen, I'd be able to pay off all my debts, then buy a new place, and still have cash to burn. I could build another Palace of Alcazar's Array, except this time, I'd make it 10 times bigger. Oh, then there's that new project in Port Ormos, of course. The bridge renovation. To do it properly would take upwards of...
Hey, snap out of it! You're getting way ahead of yourself there, mister!
You're right. First, I need to focus on winning and moving out of this place.
Huh? Wait a moment. There's a loose slip of paper tucked in between these pages. Did Alhaitham write this? It looks like he was jotting ideas down as he was thinking things over. Let's see. 2 phrases have been circled. Sachin, dead or alive, unknown. And diadem of knowledge. Some of this stuff is just plain incomprehensible. Is this written in some other language?
Let me see. Huh. I recognize this script. Give me a second. Lofty ideals may provide no defense at all against nihilism, but perhaps little decisions can. That's a rough translation anyway. I can't guarantee it's 100% accurate. There's another smaller line of text underneath. Why would he bring that up?
Wow, it's so cool that you can actually read this script!
We worked together on a project once when we were students. The title was Decoding the Runes and Architectural Philosophy of the Ruins of King Deshret's Civilization. I had to familiarize myself a little with this script at the time.
Oh, interesting. So, any idea what Alhaitham meant by all this?
Who knows? The way his mind works is one of the great mysteries of the world.
Fair enough. Well, guess we've learned all we can here. Yeah, he better catch those crooks. But Until then, let's just head out for a stroll. I see everything.
Did you leave these notes there on purpose? Or was this...
Go talk to Dory. Let's go talk to Dory to scam us out more money. Should be over here.
Take it easy.
Remove the butt. Oh wait, wait till the following day.
Paimon just heard that the Matra have arrested some Eremites who snuck into the city. Maybe they were the ones plotting to kidnap Sachin. Let's go to the Academia and check with Araf.
Sorry. Yeah, it's time for some information from the same Lord as Shadow Bay. You look like you purchased the latest report. Let's see. Information isn't important, but I'll go for 500,000 Mora. Half usual price, what a bargain. I give you for free. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bring it down to 0 more, just as I expected. I'm a great Lord of Shadow Bay. Well, since you're so interested, I'll tell you for free, but you must keep it to yourself. About 20 years ago, there was a contestant who personally suddenly changed after taking part in the competition. It looks like someone saw him in our vision. I wonder where he ended up. That's all the information you're going to get for free. If you want to hear more, you got to pay 2 million more. Appreciate your patronage. What a rip-off! We'll just go to our version and ask ourselves. Our village is over now. The desert. Music disc here. Right? 20 years ago, a young man appeared here. Back then, life was much harder than it is now. Poverty, disease, ignorance, they tormented us constantly. The young man clearly from academia with a bright future, nonetheless willing to come here and help us. Taught us how to deal with peanut monsters, peanuts, the monsters, bought a lot of medicines and money with money. From his own pocket, took care of the ill all by himself. He's a great guy. Yeah, too bad he died so young. He was always frowning. No one knew what he was worried about. Everyone just wondered if he was going to leave us. This place does not have much means of property. Probably lost him. Well, many said he was a bit crazy to begin with. For example, he would sometimes tell children stories. As a child, he thought the strange creatures were right. Maybe he would often leave the village to explore the desert. I wanted to ask him what he was looking for. He said he wanted to talk to someone from Naga or something group. Later on, I heard that he died in the quicksand. He said that he encountered a caravan trapped in the quicksand on his way to investigate something. He saved many people himself, but unable to get out in time. There was still half a finished letter addressing his child at home. After he died, my son took the letter with him. He'll be out delivering it someday. This letter, still here? No, it's not here. I live a better life. My son became a mercenary. He was killed in a scuffle a few years ago. How long was taken? Many years have passed in the blink of an eye. I wonder how this child turned out. I got a grudge against him. Not many people know these things anymore. I'm getting old. Perhaps I'll get these things soon.
I'm getting old. It's time to make plans for the future.
over here. Check out the white lift. Money every night. You have no nearby? What repairing materials repair the white lift without I could do some come across some sites? Innate ore. We even discovered a magical crystal ore out there. Can you believe it? We didn't lack any of in the village at the moment, so you also want them. Okay. Back to the main storyline.
Ah, you're here. Sorry, I was just about to send someone to inform you. I only just finished interrogating the suspects.
What did you find out?
Well, lots of unexpected details, let's put it that way. The mercs themselves were surprisingly easy to catch. We just had someone dress up as Sachin and they took the bait. But then it starts to get messy. During the interrogation, we learned that they were hired by Sachin's own child.
What? Why would someone want to kidnap their own father? What's up with that?
It's anybody's guess at this point. In any event, apparently the guys we caught are just the tip of the iceberg. Most of them are still snooping around outside the city. We're diverting manpower as we speak to try and round them all up. Would you like to come along?
Sure, let's go get to the bottom of all this.
The story is coming to an end. Kidnappers camp.
Take it easy.
Go through tiny ledges. And they're all dead.
Are you sure this is the right place? Something feels off.
I'm positive. But I don't understand why they're all unconscious on the ground.
Sino gonna be over here like killing them. No Sino.
Boss, we got more company.
Look, we were just doing what we were paid to do. You're punishing the wrong people here. You want the real culprit? It's this guy. He hired us to kidnap Sachin.
What happened? Who beat you all up?
Wait, you mean you aren't with them?
With who? Who did this?
First there was this flying brat. Didn't bother asking any questions, just started throwing punches. After that, some guy wearing green came along and interrogated us for a bit.
And another Ivan.
I've got the confirmation I needed. This is the one who masterminded this whole plot. Jawani, Sachin's son. If you have any questions for him, now's your chance to ask them. When you're done, I'm arresting them all and taking them back to the academia for further interrogation.
So why did you hire people to kidnap Sachin?
What do you think? 20 years ago, he upped and left to go and live a carefree life, not giving a second thought for my welfare. As if that's not bad enough already, he went and put his entire fortune in the care of the academia, along with a contract saying that one day he'd pass it all on to a genius he admired. That's my inheritance, by rights. You expect me to sit back and watch it go to someone else? If he won't give me what's mine, I'll just have to take it from him. Of course! Didn't he say he would be here somewhere, watching the championship from the shadows? So, I figured I'd get some people to nab him. Then I make him change the contract. And if the academia doesn't agree to hand over the goods, I make him publicly announce that I'm his chosen genius. No, the old fart knows how to stay hidden. I'll give him that. He's probably cooped up somewhere watching all this go on and laughing to himself. I already thought he'd gone mad 20 years ago. And who knows what a madman's truly capable of. Diadem of Knowledge? You mean that thing he donated to the Academia? Well, I can tell you that it's very expensive. He sold a lot of assets to purchase it back in the day. Weird things started happening after he brought it home, too. For example, sometimes we'd hear a high-pitched voice coming from the storage room. Also, before donating it to the Academia, he once shut himself in that same storeroom and researched it non-stop for days. Something was already seriously wrong with him by that point. Nothing he did shocked me.
What do you mean, something wrong with him?
I only have a vague memory of it, since I was very young at the time. But I have the impression that he went out into the desert for research and didn't return for many years. When he finally did return, he was a changed person. He would mumble incomprehensibly and write essays day and night. I asked if I could see what he'd written, but he chased me out of the room. Later, he went out somewhere and took his written essays with him. When he got back, he signed his contract with the Academia. Part of me wonders whether he'd already stopped being my father by that point. Perhaps the man we called Sachin was a demon from the desert who was wearing his skin.
Okay, you can stop now. You're creeping Paimon out.
You can believe me or not. Doesn't matter to me. I told you all I know. But if you do see Sachin, tell him this for me. Whatever it is that he's researching out there, he'll always be garbage in my eyes.
You finished? In that case, come with us. Well, we finally caught the guy behind all this. Thanks for providing us with the critical information. Do you still have any lingering concerns?
Yeah, Al-Haytham's notes do mention that item.
Scribe Al-Haytham looked into this matter. Understood. Well, if you believe there to be an issue with the diadem, I'd suggest contacting the organizers and getting them to pause the competitions while we investigate.
That makes sense. Okay then, let's get back to the venue. We need to tell Karina what's going on.
You're finally back. Where have you been? I looked everywhere for you. The third round's already started.
We were out capturing some bad guys who wanted to kidnap Sachin. But that's not important right now. We think there might be something wrong with the Diadem of Knowledge, and we'd like to investigate it.
Diadem of Knowledge.
The diadem? That seems unlikely. The Diadem of Knowledge has been used in every extravaganza over the last 2 decades, always without incident. Why has this come up now? This is pretty serious. Let me think. Okay, here's the situation. The diadem is currently in Mount Ima Forest. We moved it there before the third round began. In the third round, contestants have to go into Mount Ima Forest, find the diadem, bring it back, and place it on the stand. The first person to do this gets 4 points. Considering how close the scores are between our contestants, whoever wins this round is very likely to be the winner of the whole competition. As such, I suspect competition to be very fierce. You might not make it in time. I'll mark the diadem's location for you. Please head there immediately. Let's hope nothing happens.
All right, let's go! That's weird. The locator stopped working. Is the forest interfering with it? Ugh. Let's just go grab the diadem.
Yeah. What'd you do with it, lady?
Everyone hold hands.
We need some violence over here.
Illusion shattered.
Another test subject. Picked the wrong test subject.
Violence. Over here.
Uh-oh. This place looks empty. Did someone already take it? Well, we might as well head back and see if anyone's turned it in.
I haven't done that one. I haven't done much more in this area. Where's the shooting? There it is.
Take it easy.
Going. Maybe come all the way back to the chest.
Treasure. One way to draw your target out of hiding.
Oh, looks like Layla has seized the diadem. But getting to the goal won't be easy.
That guy enters the fray. Horizon's device has gone haywire.
The competition is heating up. Oh. And here's Kaveh bringing up the rear.
It's Kaveh's toolbox! Throwing the diadem to its owner.
Kaveh just win.
Yes, that's right. Put the diadem in place, and you shall gain all you desire.
Who are you? I need you to get out of my head!
I am confident that you will not disappoint me.
What just happened to me?
Something's wrong.
At long last, someone to inherit my estate, and with it, my research. Come, Kaveh. Come to me, my child.
How do you know my name? Who are you?
I am Sachin. Well, to be precise, I am but a fragment of Sachin's mind. Fate is a curious thing. Seeing you reminds me of another I once met. But you are made of sterner stuff than he, more cognizant of the trials and tribulations of this world. It is you who are worthy to inherit all that I once owned. We meet for the first time, children. But what I mean to say now is of utmost importance. So please, pay attention and bear witness. You have all performed outstandingly in this Interdarshan Championship. The Academia has many rare talents among its ranks, and you are the creme of the creme. But if I were to choose a successor, I would choose you, Kaveh. Not only because you were victorious, but also due to our similarities in character.
Can't we just get like a rich mansion?
Me? Similar to you?
Why, yes. Both of us have the misfortune to be idealists, and that is the source of our misery. 28 years ago, I came to the desert and lived there for 8 full years. What do you think I saw there? Alas, endless strife and slaughter. Conflict over water sources, robbing of merchant caravans, exploitation of the people relentlessly, day after day. Beyond the wall of Samiel lay a completely different world from the one I knew. The things I witnessed there tormented me greatly. I wished desperately to find a way to save them.
So, did you find a way?
As a Vahumana scholar, I tried to use Vahumana knowledge to find the answer. I researched history and anthropology, performed countless experiments on human nature, and even sought out the scholars living deep in the desert who called themselves the Lost Darshan. But in the end, I found that the answer I sought simply did not exist. It was not possible to simply assign blame for these transgressions to any one party, for the sins are carved into humanity's very nature. Our nature begets conflict, and conflict begets destruction. This is the inexorable truth. The aim of my research was to draw lessons from history, but what I discovered was that history offers no such guidance. Things can only ever go from bad to worse. After this realization, I could no longer see the meaning in anything that I had ever learned. Consumed by an overwhelming sense of emptiness, I could no longer bear to face life. And so, I decided to bring my life to an end. But before I went through with it, a strange twist of fate led me to come into the possession of this diadem, which has the ability to preserve part of one's consciousness. Into it, I placed my experiences before requesting that the Academia manage my estate.
As I thought, the contract you signed with the Academia was in essence your will. But if you'd given up hope on this world, why did you feel the need to do this?
I mentioned that I had performed a great many experiments concerning human nature. You may regard this as the very last experiment of them all. The academia has no shortage of genius talents, nurturing the brightest minds of every generation. And so, with a handsome reward to draw out the worthiest of individuals, my hope was that one day I would find one who could untangle the mystery of human nature once and for all, and help to move the world onto a better path.
I see. So you desired a successor who was not only a genius, but who also understood the suffering of ordinary people. Such a person would have a clearer understanding of humanity, society, and the world.
Huh?
But did you ever consider that wealth numbs the human heart to the pain in the world? Even an idealist may be incapable of following through on your wishes after inheriting your wealth.
You are highly intelligent, yet you are not the sort of person who would understand my line of thinking. To me, this is also part of the experiment, part of my investigation into human nature. Whether my successor suffers as a consequence of my research, or succumbs to an indulgence in pleasure-seeking, my research will have progressed. I grieve the fundamental sickness of the world. I regret the unbearable weight of its history. And I lament the research that I failed to complete. And this, Kaveh, my dear child, is why you will be of great utility to me.
You're absolutely certain that you want to give me everything you owned? For me to do with as I please?
I have faith in what I see in you. Now wear the diadem, Kaveh, and complete the journey that I could not. Will the verdict I reached cause you suffering? Or will this newfound wealth numb your heart? I look forward to your answer. All of my research materials are being stored at our...
Huh?
I've heard enough! My life's enough of a mess already. The last thing I need is more suffering. Keep your Mora. I don't need it. Didn't you say that you saw a lot of people in pain? Well, if that's the case, then your wealth can go to them.
That's what he actually wants to hear. The final test.
I guess that'll be the end of that.
Kaveh.
Are you all right? Any physical discomfort?
I'm fine. Thanks, Tainari. Don't worry about me.
Don't push yourself too hard.
Kaveh.
Kaveh may have broken the diadem, but he successfully completed the task prior to that. According to the rules, this makes him the victor of round 3. Points-wise, this also makes him the winner of the Inter-Darshan Championship. As the champion and Sachin's personally designated successor, Kaveh has obtained the rights to inherit the entirety of his estate. For the avoidance of doubt, can you confirm that it is your intention to donate all of Sachin's wealth?
Like I said, he thought that the world is a bad place. Well then, let's use what he left behind to change it for the better. Rejecting the world will achieve nothing. He and I, we're not the same.
All right. As the scribe, I will make a record of this incident on file. The sages will contact you in person for details on how exactly Sachin's estate is to be used.
That sounds fine. I don't know if his research findings were right, nor would I know how to finish his research for him. But what I do know is that by ending this here, no contestants will have to suffer. We won't be the last. There will be more championships to come, and countless future scholars will follow in our footsteps. Sachin's words can only cause pain, but not anymore. No one else has to hear them now. We're all scholars here. I know full well that shutting down his views like this is autocratic and arrogant. Fine by me. I'll bear that responsibility. It's the least I can do. And, well, it's the only thing I can do.
Well said. What you've expressed is a sense of justice and idealism that many aspire to, but few dare follow through with. I say this despite the fact that, in my view, it's quite ridiculous. You have long been aware of what your flaws are, but your pride alone prevents you from admitting it. Nevertheless, your perspective is well suited to appearing in a victory speech. Contestant Kaveh, on behalf of the organizing committee, it is my honor to congratulate you on your victory.
What? Please. I don't need your insincere praise. Anyway, this isn't the time or place for debates. Keep your commentary focused on the competition, not my views.
Congratulations, Kaveh. Also, you'll need to prepare for the award ceremony.
Looks like the ceremony will be held at the main venue. Let's head over and check it out.
Very quiet stream tonight. They're only choosing time. Just like well.
Thank you all for your excellent performance. And that brings this year's Interdarshan Championship to a close. Finally, it gives me great pleasure to invite our champion, Kaveh, to the stage to receive his award. Typically at this point, we would crown our champion with the diadem as well as presenting them with their award. However, we have just received word that Kaveh has inherited Sachin's estate and made the decision to donate it all to charitable causes.
Sachin's estate is getting donated?
So much, Mora. And he gave it all up?
Kaveh's generosity will give many struggling families the chance to change their lives for the better. Of course, without the diadem and prize money to present, this makes the award ceremony a little more concise than expected. Would you like to say a few words, Kaveh? I'm sure many of our audience, like myself, are curious to learn why you decided to give all this wealth away.
I'm not entirely sure what I should say under these circumstances. I'm glad to have won, even though I'd say luck played a big part in that. As for why I want to give the Mora away, I don't support Sachin's views, and I don't want to take his Mora. With a lot of things in life, people need to experience them for themselves. It shouldn't be up to one person to make a judgment on. Not him, and not me either. Anyway, this isn't really the time and place for such weighty and complicated topics. So, I guess that's all. I'll leave it there. Thanks very much.
Oh, Kaveh, just one moment. While this is a short and sweet award ceremony, we do still have a prize to present you with. Please take this limited edition Genius Invocation TCG card. Additionally, your champion status will be logged in your record. This means that the Sages will give priority consideration to any future project proposals you submit.
All right, I'll take the card. But as for project proposals, forget it.
In that case, I declare the award ceremony over. Let's give our champion Kaveh one last big round of applause.
I still don't really get it. The sum of Mora would have been enough for me to live in luxury for my entire life.
That just means you're not strange enough to understand the way that geniuses think. Come on, we've still got the whole Wisdom Gala to explore.
Glad that's over. I think I'm quite good at giving speeches, but this one was just so tiring.
Do you mean that you're still exhausted from the competition? Honestly, you don't look happy at all, but whatever else happened, you're the champion, you know? Don't you think you should be proud of that?
I suppose. Oh, wait. Sino said he wanted the card, didn't he? And now I have it, right here.
So you're gonna give it to him? But if it's a rare one, you should be able to make a tidy sum of more off it.
Why would I do that? It's of no use to me whatsoever. I may as well just give it to him. Could you pass it on to him for me when you next see him?
Whoa! This is a super big deal. You should do it yourself. Come on, let's go find Sino.
He'll be like right next to you. He wants the card.
Huh? But I was gonna rest for a while longer. Hey, stop pulling my hair!
Grab him by the hair and yank him. There he is. There's Sino. Get him to say something like, I want the card, I want the card, I want the card or something.
What you looking at, Sino?
I'm still thinking about the Sachin issue. What brings you here?
Well, they gave me this limited edition Genius Invocation card, and I figured you'd have more use for it than I.
But it's a limited edition. Are you sure you want to give it to me?
What else would I do with it? I have no use for it.
But it's limited edition. Kaveh, are you in trouble? You don't have to do all this. Just tell me what's wrong and I will help.
That's not what I meant at all. Yes, I have all sorts of problems, but that has absolutely nothing to do with this card. I'll figure my own issues out by myself.
All right. In that case, I accept your generosity.
You're okay? You need help?
But now that I realize that you have no concept of its value, I cannot simply take it from you. How about this? I shall buy it from you at a fair price. Namely, the price that the previous limited edition card sold for.
Oh, come on. It's just one card. How much could it really be worth?
2 million more.
1 million more at the very least.
Huh? How much?
1 million more?
If you feel that's too low, I can go a little higher.
1 million more for a card? But you already have a whole bunch of these, shiny ones, don't you? I saw your deck last time we played.
Not every card is this valuable, and some cards are exquisitely designed, but not rare.
Huh. Well, I guess they must pay you plenty to be General Mahamatra if you're splashing out on things like this. But really, it's fine. I'd feel bad taking Mora from a friend.
Don't feel bad. I save a lot. I can spare the Mora for this card.
You don't spend all your savings on your hobbies, do you? You should watch that, you know. You definitely don't want to end up borrowing money in a moment of impulsivity. Living with debt is miserable.
Sounds like you're speaking from personal experience. I guess you've been through a lot?
I don't want to talk about it.
In that case, maybe you're the one who should be listening to your advice. In any case, I, Sino, will take this precious card, and it shall join the deck of destiny. Kaveh, come with me in a few moments to collect the Mora. Thanks to you, I have achieved my goal for participating in this tournament.
All right, if you insist. Far be it from me to refuse your courtesy any further. Well, at least I'll be able to keep on top of my bills this month. Maybe I'll even have some left over. In fact, let me treat you all to a meal later. Bring Tainari and Kale, too.
Well, this is what they call all's well that ends well.
How can you be in that much debt and 1 million more won't get you out of
Paimon
it?
wonders how the other contestants are doing. Let's go check in with them, shall we? Since we're guest commentators and all.
high levels. High levels are much better. Well, they might be in the bazaar. There's one group.
I'm telling you, you can't go wrong taking advice from me on what to wear. Back in the day, my fashion style was considered cutting edge by everyone in the academia.
Really? Well, then, sure, Madame Farzan. Maybe you could pick out a few fashionable outfits for us.
Farazan! Nilu! Even Dia and Candace are here! What are you all up to?
Candace and I bumped into these two while we were strolling through the streets. Madame Farazan here's pretty friendly. When she heard that we were buying clothes, she decided to give us some help.
I don't really see anything I'm familiar with. Never mind. We can purchase some textiles and make the clothes ourselves. Let's go with the plain fabric as our base. And embroider red and pink flowers on. Oh, and some green leaves.
Oh, wait a sec. You sure that's the latest style? That sounds a lot like what the older folks back home would wear.
Don't worry. This style is a timeless classic.
No thanks. This is actually sounding pretty weird.
Wait. Madame Farzan's right. That style is a classic and used to be mainstream fashion. But these days, there's some other options too. If you don't mind, how about I pick some clothes out for everyone? It's not often that we get to meet up, especially since Candace rarely makes it to Sumeru City. Also, I know a few places where I can get a great bargain.
Sure. I'm happy to leave it to you.
I'll come with you to have a look. One always has to keep on top of what the youth of today are into.
Madame Farazan? Come quick! She's over here!
Who are you?
We're new in the academia. We saw all the amazing things you did during the competition. Do you have any classes we could sign up for?
Of course I do. And you're both very welcome to join.
That's great! We can't wait. What's your area of research? Precision mechanics?
I'm from Haravatat.
Huh? But you seem like an expert in machines. Wait, sorry. I remember now. You were representing the Haravatat Darshan in the championship. Oh, their classes are so boring, though. I'm sorry, ma'am. Let me know if you run any other classes in the future. I'll be there.
I knew it. What about you? Aren't you going to leave with your friend?
I think you're amazing, Madame Farazan, and I'd like to learn from you for a while, if possible. I can take the class you're teaching as an option, even though cross-Darshan lessons might be a little tough to arrange. But I look forward to learning from you.
I see. You're a good egg, child. Don't worry. Study under me, and I promise you, you will get the best teaching available.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Well, I won't disturb you any further. See you in class.
I don't quite understand what happened there, but congratulations, I think.
Traveler, Paimon, would you two like to come and pick out some clothes?
Sorry, we can't. We've got a meal with Kaveh later, and we have to check in with all the other contestants before then. Oh, by the way, have any of you seen Hat Guy or Layla?
I don't know where Hat Guy went. We just saw Layla not too long ago, though. But she was hanging out with some other Ratahoa students, so we didn't get a chance to speak with her. Are you gonna go and see what she's up to?
Ratahoa students? They must be the ones who voted for her to enter the competition, right? Oh, she didn't end up winning, so Paimon wonders how they feel about that. Let's go take a peek.
I see everything.
I think I might need some more practice if I wanted to embroider my own complex designs. Although, I'm no beginner with a needle and thread. More like upper end of intermediate?
The classics are the best. Period.
If you don't come to Sumeru City often, classic floral designs aren't a bad choice. those don't really go out of style. And of course, since you're putting this on your body, you need to consider the type of fabric the clothes are made from. Some materials might look stunning, but they can be terribly uncomfortable to wear.
Agreed. After all, is fashion not the constant phasing in and out of classics? In that sense, you could always consider the style I suggested too.
Wait, sorry, ma'am, but I think it could be quite a while before the style you recommended comes back into fashion.
I actually think the style recommended by Madame Faruzan is quite beautiful.
Isn't it just? You have a discerning eye, my dear.
I see Dia and Candace are both pretty tall. That means they have a lot of options when it comes to clothes.
These clothes all seem a bit too flimsy. Is there anything sturdier?
God. Is Dory still here? Nah, Dory's gone. Oh god, I'm up to level 3. Why? Why'd you have to be up there?
I'm sorry, everyone. I could have done better in the 3rd round.
Oh, stop it. If you're going to beat yourself up after doing as well as you did, how bad does that make us look, huh? Heck, it's not like any of us had the guts to enter the championship.
I didn't see the whole thing, but you were the only contestant who scored points in both the first 2 rounds, right? And I heard that you actually found the diadem first in round 3. You came so close to winning the competition.
Aw, I just got lucky, I think.
That can't be true. You had some really stiff competition out there. The renowned Tainari from Amorta, even Sino the General Mahamatra was there. You're amazing, all of you. Getting points off them is a huge achievement. The way I see it, people aren't exaggerating one bit with the nicknames they give you. You are a genuine genius.
Aw, thanks a lot. But I really don't think I qualify as a genius. In the 2nd round, for instance, I dozed off and somehow found myself beside the device when I came to.
Ah, come on, don't be so hard on yourself. We've decided we're taking you out to celebrate, and that's final. Let's go. Cheer up, Layla. The rest of today's all about you.
Looks like things are going well for Layla. This is great! We haven't seen Hat Guy since the end of the competition. Oh well, it's almost mealtime. We'd better go meet up with Kaveh and Sino now. Hey! What a relief. I can't believe it. But in the end, no one was disappointed in me. What a relief. Finally, I can get some good sleep. Everyone hold hands!
Layla.
Are you sure you have enough to cover this? Don't blow it all at once.
Don't worry. I budgeted very carefully, and this is well within my means. Anyway, I've lost count of how many times you've treated me. It's high time I return the favor. Oh, Traveler, Paimon, over here!
Ooh, look at all this! Good food, here we come!
I heard that you went to see the other contestants. How's everyone doing?
Farazan found herself a student, and Layla's classmates are bowled over by how well she did. We couldn't find Hat Guy, though. Who knows where he's gone?
Alhaitham's gone missing in action, too. Huh. The one time I'm actually in a good enough mood to treat him to a nice meal, he disappears without a trace. That guy. Where the heck could he have gone? I still have questions about that note he left. Well, whatever. He can do what he wants. Now, let's eat.
You shocked me a little when you hurled the diadem to the ground. On further reflection, of course, it made sense, but at the time I was expecting at least some amount of deliberation.
Sachin's voice started talking to me inside my head from the moment I picked it up. I could feel his emotions, too. It was a mix of despair and horror swirling around inside my mind. He bombarded me with his ideas relentlessly, like he was trying to brainwash me. It gave me a splitting headache that only got worse as he went on. Like I was saying at the time, his views are not necessarily completely without value. But if all his research does is lead to misfortune, then we're probably better off without it.
If his forbidden research were to spread in a harmful form and cause people to suffer, the Matra would step in and ban it.
I think you did the right thing. I suppose another way to approach it would have been to claim that you agreed to inherit his research, but give up the research as soon as you've inherited the wealth. But that wouldn't have been your style. I won't comment on his theories or experiments, but I don't believe that he was careless in his choice of candidate. He chose you. That means he knew what he was doing.
Perhaps. I just think that if you accept someone else's things, you should honor their wishes.
That's a good thing. It means that you have integrity.
Thank you, oh my god, thank you. See, you get me, Kale. It's a good thing Alhaitham isn't here right now. He'd be quick to explain why you're wrong.
Seems like you always include him in the conversation, even when he isn't here.
Yep, no dinner with Kaveh is complete without a few words about Alhaitham.
I sense that Alhaitham has in fact been here with us all along.
He's here? Where? Why didn't you tell me?
He lives rent-free in each of our hearts.
That was horrifying. It literally sent chills down my spine.
Good thing you didn't say that before we started eating. That would have killed the mood in a heartbeat.
All right, enough about Alhaitham. Tainari, did you achieve what you wanted out of the championship?
I did, in the first round, in fact. Word of mouth proved very effective. I spoke to a handful of people, they told their friends, and so on. Now, a record number of people have signed up to attend the next lecture. Oh, are you free next month? You should come along, maybe even say a few words.
About what? I don't know the first thing about anything Amorta-related.
Just play to your strengths. For instance, you could talk about the distinguishing features of rainforest architecture, or ask everyone not to chop down too many trees the next time they're building a house.
Oh, well, that's no problem. Sure, I'll make time. Has everyone had enough to eat? I can order more if anyone's still hungry.
I'm full. Thanks. Paimon's super full, too. If only we could eat like this every day.
Yeah, we should do this more often. Work will always be there, but seeing friends is important too. This is a good restaurant. Let's definitely come here again.
Sounds good. We should pick a few other places as backup options, though.
There are other good places around here, too? Oh, and don't forget to invite us if you go. There's nothing we love more than good food.
Kaveh, do you have plans after this?
I was thinking of maybe going to the academia for some alone time. Nothing set in stone, though. Why do you ask?
Since everyone is free, why don't we play a few matches of Genius Invocation TCG?
Eager to show off your new limited edition card, are you?
Not to show off. This is my way of thanking you for your help. Only my best friend will have the honor of seeing this card's debut play.
All right, sure. I didn't bring my deck with me, though, so I'll need to borrow one.
Actually, Master, I made a new one a few days back.
Don't tell me you've been spending all your study hours playing cards.
Come on, no need to be so stern. They do say that your innate interests are your best teacher, don't they?
Since
Eager to show off your new...
Not to show off. This is my way of thanking you for your help.
All right, sure. I didn't bring my deck with me, though, so I'll need...
Actually?
Don't tell me you've...
Come on, no need to be so stern. They... This was some pretty successful ordering today. Not a dish wasted. Oh, I almost forgot. I should order a couple of extra things to take back home.
With this limited edition card in my deck, I have reached peak connection with my cards. This is my most worthwhile purchase in quite some time.
It's been so nice not having to study these last few days. I hope I don't fall behind. Wait. Uh-oh. I've completely forgotten where I was up to.
I wonder when Kaveh will be able to pay off his debts. I wish him the best of luck.
They're going to the basement. Oh, cool. Would be hack guy.
Well, it looks like this Inter-Darshan Championship's a wrap. All that stuff with Sachin and the diadem got sorted too. Have you still got anything else on your mind? Oh, right. Yeah, Sachin said that he placed his research materials at somewhere beginning with... but Kaveh smashed the diadem of knowledge before he could finish. It might be dangerous if someone finds his old research stash, right? Where do you think it could be? Holy smokes, you're right! He said he spent all that time researching in the desert, didn't he? So it's very possible that that's where he'd leave all his notes. All right then, let's head off to...
This quest still isn't over yet. There's Ellie.
Didn't expect to run into you here.
Oh, hey, Thumb. What are you doing here? And what are you reading? Are those...
Sachin's notes? Yes. I came across his profile while I was organizing some documents and became interested in his research. If it wasn't for that, I never would have agreed to being a commentator. I had a hunch after seeing the fragment of his mind, and sure enough, I came here and found his research.
Wait! So, you've read it already? Are you alright? How do you feel?
I think you may have misunderstood something. The reason Sachin chose that architect to inherit his research was that only he could really empathize with both the calamity and the humanity that these notes seek to convey. Only one who resonates with these sentiments would suffer and begin to think of history as bleak, the present as perplexing, and the future as pessimistic. Empathy is a double-edged sword. Clearly, I am not the same sort of person as Sachin was. Empaths have many friends, and their wide social circle comes with certain societal advantages. But this also makes it hard for them to achieve their goals.
Why's that?
All important things in life involve other people. As such, it's extremely difficult to live a life that causes no harm whatsoever to others. If you really want to achieve your goals, you have to be prepared to make enemies along the way. Not everyone can deal with that reality. And that reality is like the material here: objective, heavy, negative. But at the end of the day, for all these experiment results and conclusions, it's just one person's perspective, Sachin's.
So, what are your thoughts now that you've read it?
As a scholar, Sachin was without a doubt a genius. He laid the blame for the darkness in the world squarely on humanity, experimented extensively with reliable results, and drew logical conclusions. In that sense, one might say his views were correct.
So, people are bad? And things can only ever get worse? All of that's true?
That is not a question for me to answer. Someone else will arrive shortly. You can ask them instead. All I will say is that the world is not built on correctness alone. Sometimes, being correct means nothing at all. Lofty ideals may provide no defense at all against nihilism, but perhaps little decisions can. By their own choice, the idealist seeks to bring happiness to all while denying themselves the same. Thus, they shall never reach even the borders of truth until they wipe away the ignorance that blinds them. I've never been able to agree with certain philosophies. Even Sachin himself struggled to comprehend the notion of sacrificing oneself for the greater good. But sadly, all viewpoints will find their supporters, and the way we see the world largely decides our fates. All right then, I got what I came for. These research materials are yours to look after. I'll be off.
Wait, so you came here just to read this stuff? You missed out on a big get-together, you know.
Get-together? Ah, yes, that makes sense. This is a good opportunity for that sort of thing.
Guess what? Kaveh treated everyone this time.
Then I'm sure he packed up the leftovers for me. See ya.
And there he goes. Well, it seems like he really wasn't affected by this research. He said that someone else would answer our questions. Who do you think that'll be?
There they are, Nahida and Wanderer.
Traveler, Paimon, you're already here. Nahida! Oh, and Hakai. Wait, so you asked him to take part in the championship?
Yes, it was me. Are you surprised?
Did you know that there was something wrong with the diadem from the start? And if so, why didn't you switch it out for another one?
Because Sachin's research is not mistaken. He spent his entire life researching this topic, and these materials are a result of that. These are the crystallization of his wisdom. Yes, I was worried that the material might cause some disruption, but I didn't want to wipe away all his hard work searching for the truth. So instead, I had Hat Guy here help me keep an eye on things.
Seriously? I think you can stop calling me that now.
Why? Don't you like it? Well, anyway, if Sachin's chosen successor hadn't been able to handle his research, or if it had brought pain to more people, he would have intervened at a suitable moment.
And after all that, the person Sachin chose turned his nose up at his life's work. Pretty hilarious.
I was also hoping that this could be an opportunity for you to learn how to interact with people normally. But it looks like that didn't work out.
That wasn't necessary. I'm still paying you back for your help. And the last thing I need is more reasons to be indebted to you.
Maida, what did you mean by Sachin's research is not mistaken? Does that mean that you approve of his research?
Put it this way instead. Truth to me is like a shroom boar. Some people only see the mushroom on the shroom boar's back, and they conclude that the shroom boar is a mushroom. Others see only the shroom boar's body, and they declare that the shroom boar is a boar. Still others look deeper inside, and determine that the shroom boar is meat. These conclusions are all correct in their own way, but none of them objectively describe the shroom boar.
Paimon kinda gets it, but also not really.
The world is the same way. No one, not even I included, can understand it in its entirety. All of us are somewhere on the path toward truth. Within the confines of our limited knowledge, some may blindly believe in the beauty of this world, and others may focus only on its evils. In truth, the most important thing isn't what state the world is in now, but what people hope it will become. But of course, I don't mean that as a criticism or a call to action. Ultimately, my duty as the God of Wisdom is to guide every form of wisdom to a place where it can find its purpose.
That was a long speech. So what are you actually going to do with these research materials?
Because Kaveh, as the successor of this research, does not wish to see these ideas disseminated, I will seal it up. But even though Sachin's research could be considered negative wisdom, it is still a building block of the truth. If someone wishes to follow in his footsteps in the future, I will not stop them. I also look forward to the day that a member of the Vahumana Darshan can not only comprehend his theories, but also find a way out from the despair as well.
Vahumana doesn't have that kind of talent. Wait, you're not intending to keep me in Vahumana long term, are you? I don't remember signing up to become a scholar. Don't you think I'm useful enough to you as a prisoner?
Oh boy, here we go again.
You think so? Well, to that, I would say that in Sumeru, even prisoners have a right to an education. I hope that your studies in Vahumana will help you deal with your own fate, and learn how best to settle old debts from your past. I will review your final thesis myself. I'm expecting great things from you, Mr. Hat Guy.
Quest is complete. Is it still going? I hit a mushroom from up here. Fire!
Water! Quietly now.
Ad Astra. Thank you for Ad Astra.
What's your name, buddy? Are you here to buy some medicine? Where are your mom and dad?
Are you lost?
No, I'm not. My name's Ayu, and I'm here because...
Hey there, Chi-Chi. Hi, Gray. What's going on?
Hi, Traveler and Paimon.
You've actually come at the perfect time. This little boy seems to have gotten himself lost. I think he must be new to the city. Probably wandered away from his parents and...
No, listen to me. I'm not the one who's lost. It's my dad.
Your dad? How does a fully grown man manage to get lost in Liyue Harbor?
Well, my dad's always been kind of forgetful. In the past, he was just a little slow to react sometimes. But I'm worried that it's getting more serious.
So, what about your mom?
She went out a few days ago to gather some herbs for my dad, but she still hasn't come back. Meanwhile, my dad's been getting worse and worse. I remembered that the owner of Boo Boo Pharmacy always runs a clinic in Chingsa Village during the Lantern Rite, so I thought, why don't I take Dad to Liyue Harbor to see him there? When we got to the city gate, I took a moment to ask the Millith guards for directions to the pharmacy. And then, when I turned back around, my dad was gone. I asked the Millith guys to go find him, but he said they won't be able to send that many people. So then I figured, maybe I can ask some other people in the city to help.
You came to the right place. We're pros at finding people, isn't it?
Junction can help. She has a good sense of smell, like a dog.
Hey, Who's talking about me behind my back?
Cheng, Chi-Chi meant that as a compliment. There's no need to be upset. Hello, child. You mentioned that you were looking for the owner of Boo Boo Pharmacy. How might we be of service?
You have a talking snake? Oh, are you Uncle Baiju?
Uncle Baiju?
Cheng, now's not the time. My dear boy, could you tell me more about your father's condition, as much as you can recall?
Yes, Uncle... Dr. Baiju.
I see. And your family lives near Chingsa Village, you say? I visit patients there frequently, but I don't recall ever seeing you or your parents.
Uh-huh. My mom doesn't like meeting other people, especially during Lantern Rite. She always tells me to just stay at home and keep my dad company.
Is that so? Ayu, by any chance, is your mother's name Jiangli?
Whoa, yeah, it is! Do you know my mom, Dr. Baiju?
I certainly do. Gui, Chi-Chi, are there any pressing matters in the pharmacy at the moment? Ayu's parents are old acquaintances of mine, so I would very much like to assist with the search. Would the two of you have time to join me?
Don't forget us two! We already told Ayu that we'd help!
Oh, really? Well, that's wonderful. We are most grateful for your support.
Chi-Chi and I need to clear up the shop front first, but once that's taken care of, we'll be right out to help you with the search.
Family is very important.
Thank you. Then I'll leave you to handle the pharmacy. Traveler, Paimon, why don't you come with me and Ayu? Let's start by talking to the Millilith guards at the city gates, see if they have an update.
Haven't the wheel in a long time.
They searched to the north, but couldn't find anyone who matched the description.
Well, that complicates things. The city folks say there's no sign of him either. We need to start looking further afield. But where are we gonna get the people?
Excuse me, sirs. Have you found out anything about my dad yet?
Ah, hey there, buddy. Dr. Baiju. What brings you out this way?
The boy asked for our help, so we're here to join the search. Any new developments to update us on?
Oh, thank goodness. We were just discussing how we're running out of manpower. As for updates, I'm sorry to say that we've searched the surrounding area thoroughly, but didn't find anything.
The guards at the crossing up ahead said they hadn't seen anyone either, so we don't believe he was heading towards the Guili Plains. But it is possible that he was bound for Luhua Pool.
Luhua Pool? The terrain there can be tricky to navigate. Let's hope he hasn't run into any trouble.
You will? Oh, great. We can't thank you enough.
Sorry we weren't able to find your dad, buddy.
That's okay. Thank you for trying.
I'm afraid we have to stay at our posts.
Take it easy.
I'm gonna do something, I'll be right back, sorry. I'm back. Sorry about that. Where's that here?
Dad! Dad, can you hear me?
There's somebody over there! Oh no, it's... Hey, you! Stop! Don't go any further!
The trap! No!
Watch where you're going!
Hotel.
Oh, dear customer, Wangsheng Funeral Parlor does appreciate your patronage, but you needn't hasten the inevitable. Are you all right? Huh?
Dad!
Hey, Hotel!
My, who do we have here? It's the Traveler in Paimon, and... my worst nightmare.
I see she still hasn't warmed to you.
Thank you, Director Who, for saving this man.
Dad, are you okay? Do you recognize me? It's me, Ayu.
You're... Ayu? Who am I?
Your name is Xiao Liang, and you live just west of Qingse Village. You were supposed to come to Liyue Harbor to see the doctor. Remember? Does that jog your memory?
Oh, my name is Jia Liang. Liyue Harbor. See the doctor? Yes, I'm Jia Liang, and I need to see the doctor. Wait, why do I need to see the doctor?
Uh-oh. He seems in really bad shape. We need to get him back to Boo Boo Pharmacy right away. Sorry, Hotel. Gotta dash. Dinner's on us next time.
Hold on a second. You're not seriously thinking of taking him to Boo Boo Pharmacy in this state, are you?
Huh? Why not? What's the problem?
Come on, Baizhu. Don't tell me you haven't noticed it. Didn't your master teach you how to spot the signs? Why do I get the sense that you spotted them right away, but you're planning to use it for your own ends?
Use what? What are you talking about? Paimon's lost.
There are traces of god remains in Jialiang's system.
Yes, but more importantly, they're on the verge of an outburst. If that happens, the consequences will be unthinkable.
Paimon, sorry. What?
God remains?
There's no need to worry, Director Who. I have methods of keeping them at bay. It is the sworn duty of all who practice medicine to cure illnesses and save lives. What reason would I have to neglect a patient in need who is right there in front of me? Besides, it was my late master's dying wish to be able to save this patient in particular. Perhaps out of respect for him, you could give me a day's grace so that I have time to treat him?
Now you're bringing my great-uncle into this? Baizhu, just what are you planning this time?
Merely to cure this man, nothing more. But of course, if you have any doubt as to my intentions, you are more than welcome to accompany me to Boo Boo Pharmacy and monitor my activities.
Oh, really? I thought I was persona non grata at Boo Boo Pharmacy. You're being unusually generous today. Okay, deal. We're not going to solve anything by keeping Jia Liang here. I'm happy to do it your way, but only for my great-uncle's sake and the travelers, of course.
You must be pleased you brought the Traveler along. Otherwise, this would have been a much more vexing ordeal.
Well, time is of the essence. Let's get ourselves back to Boo Boo Pharmacy at once.
Back to the pharmacy again.
Blockages within the cardiovascular system, reduced blood flow and energy circulation? I see. I suppose this must have caused the cognitive abnormalities.
Dr. Baiju, how bad is it? Can you cure him?
Don't you worry. Baiju's a really great doctor. He's sure to find a way. Isn't that right, Baiju?
Ayu, do you know when your father first started displaying these symptoms?
I'm not sure. He's been like this for as long as I can remember. But it wasn't as bad as this when I was still little.
So it's been a long time indeed. No, I have a treatment plan in mind. We can start tonight. Come and see me again tomorrow morning. I promise that by then, Ayu will find his father healthy and lucid again.
Thank you, Dr. Baiju. Thank you so much.
If you still have any misgivings, Director Hu, please feel free to hang around for as long as you wish.
However, it would be best if you step outside this room. A doctor must be able to focus when treating a patient. Any distractions heighten the risk of complications.
Yes, of course, absolutely. I'll just go and look at the flowers or something. But I will be back in an instant at the first sign that something's amiss.
See you tomorrow, Baiju and Chung-Chung.
Bye for now, everyone.
Are you ready, Baiju?
Ready as I'll ever be. I'm used to it by now. Come on, let's get started.
All's well that ends well, huh? You know, Paimon's kind of curious after hearing Baiju mention those people from his past. What do you think they were like? Yeah, you must be curious too, right? Let's go see what we can find out while Baiju's busy treating Ayu's dad.
Detail. Oh no. We're too close to the sun.
While I'm idling time on admiring the scenery, the spectacled snake-bedecked docs doing surgery. Hello, you busy bees, and what do you have to discuss with the funeral director today? Actually, don't tell me. Let me guess. From the looks on your faces, you've got some questions for me.
Guilty as charged. So, we were just a little curious about Baiju's master. What was he like? Oh, and also, how come you and Baiju could tell so quickly that Jia Liang had god remains in his system?
Huh? I thought I told you once before. Wangsheng Funeral Parlor was first founded to fight back against the vengeful wrath of gods defeated in war.
That vaguely rings a bell.
Well, it is a dusty old tale by this point. Long story short, in the ancient world, dead gods were acting up, so our ancestors started purifying the air and burning the bodies of the deceased to guard the border between life and death. These days, we don't deal with the wrath of the gods anymore, but all the relevant know-how is still passed down to each generation, so we can identify gods' remains when we see them.
Okay, Paimon gets it now. Wait, so how did Baiju learn to spot them?
Almost certainly from his master, who was also my great-uncle. Baiju's master was my grandpa's younger brother, a former deputy director of Wangsheng Funeral Parlor.
Wow, fancy that! Huh. So, if he was from Wangsheng Funeral Parlor, how did he end up as Baiju's master?
According to my grandpa, he and my great-uncle once went traveling together when they were young. They ended up at Chenyu Vale, where they met a pharmacist. That pharmacist must have cast
some sort of spell on my great uncle. Because after that encounter, he suddenly announced he wanted to leave the family business and go practice medicine instead. My grandpa had a huge argument with him, but he couldn't convince him to stay. So my grandpa inherited the funeral parlor, while my great uncle stayed in Chenyu Vale to practice medicine. They never spoke to each other again.
Funeral director to doctor is a pretty big career change. Kinda hard to imagine. But why did it drive a wedge between them for the rest of their lives? That seems a bit extreme.
If he had just become a regular doctor, there would have been no issue. After all, the Wangsheng Funeral Parlor wasn't unlike a regular doctor's clinic in the early days. But according to my grandpa, the pharmacist they met had a very ominous aura about him. And on top of that, the kind of medicine practiced in the Chenyu Vale tradition goes against the natural order of things.
In what way?
Don't know. My grandpa didn't know the specifics. And you've seen how wary Baiju is around me. He'd never tell me anything. But even that says to me that he definitely has something to hide. One thing I do know about Baiju is that he's obsessed with the idea of immortality. But whether that has anything to do with what he's hiding is hard to say. Anyway, so I will be sticking around here for now to keep a close eye on the situation. Maybe tomorrow I'll finally figure out what he's up to.
After all that, it seems like we have more questions than answers. Never mind.
Oh, while you're here, have either of you seen Chi-Chi around? It's not every day I get to infiltrate Baiju's lair, but alas, I didn't catch a single glimpse of her anywhere. Aha! What if Baiju knew I'd be on the lookout for her and hid her away in advance?
Send you away.
Dad!
Oh, are you?
Dad, you remember me!
Yes, I remember now. Oh, are you? I'm so sorry. You must have been worried sick. Has your mom shown up yet? She's been gone for a while, hasn't she?
Don't worry, Dad. I got the Adventurers Guild to help us look for her. And Dr. Baiju's gonna help too. Right now, all you need to do is concentrate on getting better.
Great. That's wonderful. I can't thank you enough, Dr. Baiju.
My pleasure, really. It's the least I can do to honor my late master's dying wish. If anything, I should be apologizing to you for not making the time to visit in all these years.
Not at all, Dr. Baiju. It's only because Jiang Li... What was her reason again?
You're still in the early stages of recovery, so you'll need to take it easy for a while. Take it slowly and try not to overexert yourself.
I suggest you stay at Boo Boo Pharmacy and rest for at least the next few days.
Director Hu, do you have any further reservations about Jia Liang's condition?
It seems like the evil presence is gone after all. You really did manage to suppress it, huh? But how did you accomplish this in a single night?
That would be a trade secret, I'm afraid. If that gives you any cause for concern, you may continue to monitor Jia Liang for as long as you wish. Though I regret to say that Boo Boo Pharmacy cannot offer to reimburse Wangsheng Funeral Parlor for any revenue lost in the meantime.
Oh, come on, Baiju. I'm not that unreasonable.
Ah.
I've been stuck indoors for too long. Baiju, take me outside for some air, or I'm going to suffocate.
Ah, yes, of course. Everyone, please excuse Qiangsheng and myself for a moment.
Suffering now, are we? Did you seriously expect to cover it up just by putting on a brave face and ignoring it? If it weren't for my quick thinking, they'd have all seen the sorry state you're in by now. But in any case, why must you keep this a secret from everybody? You should at least share your secret with one person you trust.
Who's there?
Ah!
Me, a joystick gear.
Why did you follow us here?
You're looking a little.
Oh, it's nothing. I just needed to get some air.
And die.
What did I just say about putting on a brave face? Traveler, Paimon, the truth is, Baiju did not cure Jialiang's illness. Instead, he transferred some of his own life force to his patient to temporarily subdue the poison in his... Baiju, can you please explain all of this?
My predecessors in medicine forged a contract with Changsheng. Every successor to this contract is able to use Changsheng's secret art to treat patients. I believe the irregularities with Jialiang's heart meridian were likely caused by a poison concocted using god remains as a key ingredient. The poison has not been purged from Jialiang's system. Rather, I infused him with some of my own life force, using Changsheng as the delivery medium. This will suppress the poison's effects for a limited time.
Changsheng? You can do that? Huh. Paimon always thought you were just Baiju's strange choice of a necklace. Hey, I'll have you know that I commanded the respect of even the Adepti back in Chenyu Vale. If anything, he is my mannequin. I was treating patients with Baiju's master's master long before he ever set eyes on his first medical text. Whoa, guess you shouldn't judge a snake by its skin.
Please, that's enough.
Wait a sec. Huto was saying that the branch of medicine you studied uses some pretty dubious methods. So, when you transfer your life force, does that mean you're actually damaging your own body?
Hardly. Changsheng helps to keep my chi in balance, so there is no great harm done.
Still, Baiju's life force is not unlimited. We must find a way to neutralize the poison in Jialiang's body, and soon. Traveler, Paimon, would you lend this dummy a hand? He needs someone checking up on him, or he'll exhaust himself trying to accomplish everything on his own.
With crazy puppies at the moment.
Baiju, don't you think you should seize this opportunity? You cannot expect to hide this from everyone for your entire life. Time will see that all secrets surface eventually.
Entire life. Thank you, Traveler and Paimon.
Huh. Paimon doesn't think we've seen this side of you. But there's no need to thank us. You've helped us out before.
The poison in Jialiang's system must have accumulated over a prolonged period. I think I should pay a visit to their family home and look for clues as to how he might have been exposed to it. Yes, I asked Ayu this morning before you arrived. He told me that his family lives in a secluded spot to the west of Qingsa village. Let's head there together once I've asked Gui and Chi-Chi to look after the pharmacy. As well as investigating Jia Liang's exposure to the poison, we should also keep an eye out for Ayu's missing mother, my fellow disciple Jiang Li.
It's a new day! Let's go back to Boo Boo Pharmacy and check out how Jia Liang is doing.
There always been a house there? Or is that something they added for this? You fucking pig! Every time. I think they added this house in the last update. I don't remember this being here.
Whoa! There's a house all the way out here? Huh. It's so well hidden, Paimon's never noticed it before.
Nor have I. And I've hosted clinics at Qingsa village many times in the past. If you ask me, Jiang Li was trying to remain unnoticed.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. We meant to ask earlier, but it slipped our minds in the rush to get here. Could you tell us more about Jiang Li? You said she was your fellow disciple, right?
She was indeed. We studied medicine together under the same master near Chenyu Vale. She is several years older than I and also began her travels far earlier than me. As a result, the time I spent studying alongside her was rather short.
Supposedly, she met an herb gatherer sometime during her travels and decided to settle down with him. That must have been Jialiang. Wait, Changsheng, are you saying neither of you had actually met Jialiang or Ayu before all of this?
Jiang Li did occasionally come back to Chenyu Vale to see our master, but for whatever reason, she hardly ever talked about her family. The last time she visited us, she and Master had some sort of quarrel. We never heard from her after that. It almost seemed as if she'd gone into hiding.
Quarrel? What happened? I don't know. I did not witness the argument myself.
Nor did Master ever explain it to me. All he would say is that should I ever encounter Jiang Li or her family in the future, I should do everything in my power to help them.
Oh, so that's why you went to such extreme lengths to help Jialiang.
No. Even if my master had never said anything, it would still be my duty as a doctor to help him. My decision would have remained the same.
Paimon never knew you were so selfless, Baiju. Paimon always had you down as the sneaky, scheming type. Sorry.
So a few words from me is enough to dispel all your suspicions, You ought not be quite so quick to relax your guard, Paimon. Sometimes even the good guys have their own private agenda.
What the... Okay, that was the most suspicious sounding thing you've ever said.
Let's leave the idle chatter there for now, Jiang Li has lived in this house for many years. There must be something here that can shed a little light on this whole situation. Let's split up, but if anyone finds anything, we'll examine it together.
Okay, gang, split up and look for clues.
Things are about to get dicey.
Don't find marks in this film. Maybe use the record our eyes. Wood in this stack, logs cut great power precision. Whoever chose this firewood must have been physically fit. Why has the bottom pile have been beginning to rot? Must have been whilst ago. The roof tile is broke. He seems to have tried to get up and take a look, but he didn't manage. Sitting on the table was a bit wobbly.
Traveler, Paimon, come quick! What is this?
Chung Shung and I found a hidden compartment. This is what was hidden inside.
Huh. You sense it too? You're right. This is a poison concocted using god remains. Is it? Breathing? Paimon's not seeing things, is she?
No, your eyes do not deceive you. I do believe the poison in this bottle is alive. Some toxins act a lot like living organisms. I read about this once in the Origins and Symptoms of Diseases. This ancient class of poisons consists of mother and minor loads, capable of sustaining a connection over vast distances. If it's a concoction of this kind we're dealing with, then both the poison in Jialiang's system and this one here are likely minor loads. Offshoots, essentially.
Offshoots? So, the main body is somewhere else?
Correct. Whoever is administering the poison can manipulate the source to indirectly control the poisoned individual's behavior and even cognition. Similarly, the poisoned individual will hear, to a varying extent, the call of the source.
The call of the... Wait. So, back when Jia Liang ran off, maybe that explains where he was heading!
Only one thing could have been drawing him there. The source of the god remains used as the poison's key ingredient, the mother lode.
This is getting crazier and crazier. What kind of person would do all this just to poison Jia Liang?
An asshole.
Hey, why has everyone gone quiet all of a sudden? Since this poison was carefully hidden away in a secret compartment, the one who concocted it is likely a resident of the house. You mean Jia Liang? Why would he poison himself? Think a little harder, Paimon. Someone else who lives here, and who might have expertise in crafting drugs. Huh? So you're saying... it was Jiang Li? Wait, but that doesn't make any sense either! Why would she poison her own husband?
I agree. It makes little sense. Jiang Li does not strike me as the kind of person who would do such a thing.
Look at the facts, though. How many people in the entirety of Liyue have the ability to concoct a poison from god remains?
It's too early to draw any conclusions. We should question Jia Liang about it once he has made more progress in his recovery. Yes. According to the Origins and Symptoms of Diseases, the minor loads will disappear if the mother lode is purged. So if we can find and destroy the source of these god remains, the poison will leave Jia Liang's system without the need for any further treatment. Do you know anything about god remains in Qingsa village?
Even the history books have no record of this. The only ones who'll know anything are those old fogies who have been hanging around here since the beginning of time. Didn't you used to be on good terms with the Adepti, though? You sure they didn't tell you anything about this?
Changsheng's memories and powers are not what they were in her prime. These days, she has to enter a contract with a mortal and share their life force just to sustain her own life. I fear that such ancient events are long gone from her memory by now.
Whoa, what? After a contract? Share life force? Sounds like some pretty spooky sorcery if you ask Paimon. Hey, plenty of people would jump at the chance to join forces with a powerful being like me. With my assistance in rebalancing your chi, not only can you extend your lifespan, but you will also be stronger, healthier, and able to eat whatever you like with no risk of upsetting your stomach. Stronger and healthier? Wow, that's amazing! Baiju, maybe when you retire, you can let Paimon sign a contract with Changsheng for a few days.
Unfortunately, Changsheng's contract has strict requirements regarding the host's temperament. None of her hosts have ever been exempted from these rules. I fear that I will be unable to accommodate your wishes, Paimon.
Temperament? Hey! What are you trying to say? Did you just subtly insult Paimon to her face?
Wait, what's yours? There's a weak one. Didn't his master pass away in the 38?
Ugh! Paimon's mad! You're getting ugly nicknames, both of you! Baiju, you're Mannequin Man! Changsheng, you're just a pain in the neck! This is exactly why your natural temperament makes you woefully unsuited to being my host.
All right, everybody, calm down. Back to the matter at hand. Is there any way at all for us to seek counsel from the Adepti about this?
With how antisocial they are, if it were up to them, they'd go their whole lives without showing their faces to the common folk. What?
Seems you're as well connected as they say, Traveler. We are truly fortunate to have you on our side.
Oh, if you're talking about who Paimon thinks you're talking about...
Oh, please let it be.
You better do the honors.
Please be Cloud Retainer. Please be Cloud Retainer. Please be Cloud Retainer. I know Xiao.
You called?
Bitches.
Gets Paimon every time. Are all Adepti in the habit of materializing out of thin air like this?
Well, this is unexpected.
Huh? It's you.
Baiju of Boo Boo Pharmacy. I do believe I've had the pleasure before. The Lantern Rite, when we met briefly, I was unaware of your true identity. I must apologize for the discourtesy.
Huh? You two already know each other?
Our paths have crossed once before.
You just amps around.
I sense the presence of evil spirits. Is this why you called me? So someone has been concocting demonic poison. Too often, fervent desires drive mortals to abandon all regard for their own safety. It is lamentable. I now know what you seek. It is true that a god's remains are buried beneath the foundations of Qingce village. A vile monster known as the Che once wrought havoc over this land, before it was subdued by Rex Lapis. The land was finally cleansed of poison when Rex Lapis used statues in his likeness to seal the serpent's remains. Qingce village was founded some time after that. The seal is still mostly intact. If the Che is the source, then it must be some of its blood leaking from deep underground. However, its aura is faint and barely detectable. You will need to investigate further to identify the location of the leak. I do not like to intervene against mortals unless absolutely necessary. But when demonic forces are involved, things can spiral out of control. If that happens, be sure to call my name again. Nothing. I do not wish to sway decisions that are mortals to make, but immortality may not be the blessing that you imagine it to be.
I shall treasure your words of instruction, Master Adeptus.
Farewell.
Amp. There we go.
What a strange adeptus. Rather different from the way I remember them. That's Xiao for ya! And thanks to him, we finally got some concrete info to go off of.
If the god remains are leaking from underground, Jiangli must be paying a visit to a subterranean cave on her herb-gathering trips. If we can find the cave...
Master! Master, there's a problem.
Oh, we can't find Chi-Chi?
Did you run all the way from Boo Boo Pharmacy?
What happened? Don't panic. Just catch your breath and tell me everything.
It's Jiaoliang. He was fine one minute, and then he suddenly took a turn for the worse.
Already? How? Based on past experience, he should have been fine for the next 3 days at least.
It seems that my worst fears have been confirmed. Everyone, back to Boo Boo Pharmacy now.
Run to Boo Boo Pharmacy. I'm too tired, I'll walk. Too tired to run, I'll just teleport.
Dad, what's wrong? Dad?
Don't be scared. Dr. Baishu will be back soon.
How is he doing?
Dr. Baishu, you're back! My dad was doing fine earlier, but then he suddenly started coughing up blood. Now he can't even get a full word out anymore.
When Gui left, he was still conscious. But now...
Gui, please take Jiaoliang to the back room and prepare for treatment.
Yes, of course.
Don't worry, Ayu. I will cure your father.
Baishu's not gonna use Chang Sheng's secret art again, is he?
Oh, please don't worry. Dr. Baishu will find a way.
But...
Let's do the time warp again.
How are you feeling, Dad? Are you still hurting anywhere? You're not gonna suddenly collapse again, are you?
Much better, Ayu. I'm feeling much better. In fact, I can't explain it, but somehow I feel even better than usual. Wait, where's Dr. Baiju? I still haven't had a chance to thank him. Seems he moved me here before I came to.
Master said he needed to take a quick rest and asked me to bring you out of the treatment room. He hasn't emerged yet, so he must still be resting.
Oh, really? Well, he must be tired from treating me for 2 nights in a row. I don't know how I can begin to repay him for saving my life. I'll have to discuss it properly with Jiang Li once we find her. Speaking of which, has there been any word of her whereabouts yet?
No, the Adventurers Guild hasn't gotten back to me yet. I'll go check with them again in a bit.
I'll come with...
Don't forget what Master said. You're still not out of the woods yet, Jiaoliang. I strongly suggest that you stay and rest at Boo Boo Pharmacy for now. I can accompany Ayu to the Adventurers Guild.
I suppose you're right. I'll have to rely on you this time. Though, on the bright side, this means I can thank Dr. Baiju in person once he's finished resting.
Traveler, Baiju hasn't shown his face ever since he went in to treat... Huh? Hey, wait up!
Huh?
You're finally awake? That was far too risky, even with me here to help you balance your chi.
There was no time. I had no other choice. In any case, it was not completely without benefit to myself. I managed to learn something. Jiang Li's design is quite brilliant. She makes numerous innovations that I can learn from. Alas, if only there wasn't a catch.
So, how much longer do you think Baishu's gonna nap for? They've been outside waiting for you the whole time while you were asleep. Shall we at least go and show our faces?
All right.
Surely he hasn't. There's no way he could have just... Who's talking behind our backs again? Ah! Baishu! Changsheng!
Of course. There's no need to be concerned. I merely had to transfer a rather large amount of life force on this occasion. But, with Changsheng's help, I will recover in time.
Jialiang seemed fine yesterday. Why did he need more life-saving treatment again so soon?
I made an error in my initial diagnosis. Jialiang is in fact suffering from more than one ailment, and as a result, his life force depleted at a greater rate than I had anticipated.
What? You mean, even if you got all the poison out of him, he'd still be sick?
Yes. But more pertinently, the poison in Jialiang's system is there precisely because it is being used to manage his underlying medical condition. Jialiang has a rare congenital heart condition, and ongoing treatment is essential to maintaining healthy functioning of his heart meridian. Left untreated, it puts the patient at risk of coughing up blood and fainting, and in the longer term, causes irreversible damage to the internal organs. Though it was created from god remains, this formula is not a poison in Jialiang's case. Rather, it's his medication.
Had he not taken it all these years, he likely would have died a long time ago.
Still, using poison to treat a disease is hardly a viable long-term solution. As time passed, and the poison accumulated in his system, it began to impact his cognition. Moreover, the longer he relied upon this medicine, the more resistant his body became to it. Jiang Li had to concoct ever greater quantities to ensure its continued efficacy, or he could have still perished at any moment.
That explains why Ayu said his dad has been getting worse, and why his mom went off to gather herbs.
God remains are extremely dangerous to be around, because humans have no natural defense against them. I shudder to think how many times Jiang Li has exposed herself to them. I fear that the situation is just as that Adeptus described. In an effort to save Jialiang's life, Jiang Li has abandoned all regard for her own safety.
I never suspected that even Jiang Li would turn to the same path as so many others over the years. Perhaps this is the inevitable course of fate. To sacrifice one's own life to save others. To go beyond human means in order to do the impossible. Whatever the cost may be.
Well, I think that it's too early to say with any certainty what fate has in mind. In any case, I have stabilized Jialiang's condition for now, so our immediate priority should be to get ourselves back to Qingsa village and find out where Jiang Li is. Her regular exposure to god remains over such a long period will have been catastrophic for her health. And given that she's already been missing for several days, I am fearing the worst.
It's me, Traveler, Dr. Baiju.
It's Jiao Don't tell Paimon you overheard everything already.
Dr. Baiju, please let me come with you. You've already done so much for my family. I can no longer just sit here and watch while you put yourself at risk for Jiangli's sake. After all, if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have had to put herself in harm's way in the first place. I know I won't be of much help in battle, but at the very least, I can show you the way. I'm sure I'll be able to remember. I know there's a spot where she says goodbye to me every time she goes to gather her herbs. I'm sure I'll remember. I have to remember.
Be careful. If you get too agitated, your blood pressure and stress levels will rise, putting further pressure on your heart. For your own safety, you should stay here and rest.
No! We're out of time! We have to go now. Right now. Before I forget everything again.
This trip will be extremely dangerous, and there is a very real possibility that you will not return from it. Are you sure you're prepared for that?
I never expected to live this long in the first place. My death is already long overdue. So why should I fear it? There's only one thing I fear now, and that's that I'll forget her again before we manage to find her.
Very well. Then follow me.
Dr. Baiju, are you heading out again?
Yes. This could be a long one. Could you please prepare a dose of the usual formula? Please add an extra measure of mistgrass pollen and 1 dose each of the ingredients from the 3rd and 5th compartments of my medicine cabinet. I hope it works.
Dr. Baiju, do you mean...
Hop to it now, and remember to be careful with the cauldron this time. You don't want to burn yourself again.
Okay. Everyone...
Good, the pig though shouldn't attack me this time.
There is no escape!
That strange feeling is back. It's just like the day I went missing. It's as if something inside me is trying to guide me somewhere.
You should follow it.
The Motherlode's influence is growing stronger. But is it because we're getting closer to the source, or because the leakage of Che blood is growing more severe? Jialiang, can you sense which direction the source is in?
I think it's this way. Yes, I'm sure of it. I feel a dull ache in my heart. This must be the way. This place feels familiar. I think I've been here before.
There is an inauspicious presence here. Even I can sense it.
I think I remember this place.
Jialiang, are you okay? Maybe you should...
No, I have to keep going. Jiangli is still waiting for me. Then let's hurry.
Can't sleep? Let's go for a walk then.
Life is like a highway.
This place gives Paimon the creeps. Who knows what we're gonna find up ahead? The digging marks here appear amateur and rather old. I suspect it is a thieves' tunnel. A thieves' tunnel? Paimon has heard rumors about treasure around these parts before. Maybe it was the treasure hoarders that dug this tunnel.
Judging by the tools they left behind, it's certainly a possibility. But why did they abandon this place without even stopping to pack up their tools?
I remember now. She took me here once and told me that she'd found a way to save me in this cave. But she said that the method would cause me to,
Easy, Jialiang. Come on, let's keep going.
C3, wow. I gave him a C3 this time. Gave him his weapon. Old boxes. 8 and 11. Noblesse? Yep, Noblesse. I suppose it's Noblesse.
Mind the side effects.
I see everything.
Whoa, there's a sensor here. Those treasure hoarders sure made themselves at home.
I believe this sensor was used to burn a monster-repelling incense.
A monster repelling incense? You sure? 'Cause we did run into that group of monsters just now.
The incense was burned several days ago. If I had to guess, the monsters we fought just now were enticed here by some entity deeper inside the cave. No doubt an encounter with the very same entity was what prompted the treasure hoarders to flee and abandon their designs on this cave. After them, Jiang Li was the next person to discover this place and what lies inside. But to her, it presented an opportunity to save Jia Liang's life, albeit as a last resort.
That's right. This sensor, it belongs to Jiangli. Yes, this was the place. This is where I told Jiangli to give me the poison.
Jialiang!
I'm fine. Let's keep going. I can feel it. She is right below us, waiting for me. I can feel it. We're getting close. We're almost there. It's right up ahead. The place where we made a pact together to...
Aha! We can keep going now!
From the looks of it, the energy released by this mechanism can not only clear barriers, but also be conducted by corresponding mechanisms. Perhaps it's something we can make use of.
Illusion shattered! Gotcha!
The night is cold. Stars, shine for me. Yeah! Sharing my knowledge.
Seems like an emergency.
Busted! Take it easy.
Zhongli!
Look out! There's a monster next to her!
The god remains must have lured them here. Watch my back.
Dr. Baiju, how serious is it? Is she...
I can still feel a pulse, but her condition is quite grave. The god remains here are encroaching on her cognition, much as the poison in your system did to you. If we don't eliminate it soon, then even if we save her life, I fear that she may never wake up again.
Then what are we waiting for? Let's destroy the remains right away!
It's not as simple as that. Don't you remember what Baiju said? The poison within Jialiang's body is inextricably linked to the god remains here. If the source is purged, the poison in his system will stop having any effect.
And the poison within Jialiang's body is keeping his heart condition under control. So, if it stops working... Oh no. Are you saying...
Indeed. If the god remains here are purged, then your life will come to an end.
I wondered when this day might come.
Wait! But we've all been working our butts off to save Jialiang's life! After all that, we can't just give up on him! Baiju, you're a great doctor! Surely you gotta know of some other way we can save him, right?
You could continue to take the poison, which would buy you some time. As for Jiang Li, maybe if we put our heads together, we can think of something?
It appears to me that she was striving to concoct your medicine for you, right up until the moment when she lost consciousness. Maybe it's her greatest wish that you will continue to take it and live.
Dr. Baiju, give it to me straight. How long does Jiang Li have?
The god remains have reached her internal organs. Under ordinary circumstances, I would give her less than 3 days. But if I were to treat her using a secret art...
But what would be the point of that? Dr. Baiju, I'm all too aware of the dangers of god remains. You are not the first to mention it to me. If I continue to sustain my own life using this wretched substance, not only would Jiang Li have to keep risking her life to make my medicine for me, but I would have to live with the looming threat of these remains breaking out and wreaking havoc not just upon me, but my entire family. I know for a fact that I should have died over a decade ago. The fact that I've been around to see Ayu grow up is already a great blessing from Rex Lapis. If my choice can bring Jiang Li back, then even if I die...
Jialiang...
After cheating death for so long, it seems I've grown somewhat addicted to life. Traveler, Dr. Baiju, could I have another minute with my wife? I just want to have one final moment together. Just a moment, that's all.
Of course.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm sorry that I won't be able to repay your kindness in this life.
Jialiang... Baiju, Changsheng... Is there really nothing else you can do?
I am sure that over the years, Jiang Li will have tried all the conventional methods known to humankind. As for less conventional methods, I have little expertise besides Changsheng's secret art.
Mortals are fated to grow old and pass on when their natural lifespan runs out. If it were so easy to combat the natural processes of aging and death, Jiang Li would not have had to resort to unnatural methods.
What a crazy situation! Jiang Li risked it all to save Jialiang's life, and now Jialiang has to sacrifice himself to save Jiang Li!
I've seen many final farewells in my time, but I can never get used to it.
In the human realm, all things must come to an end. Is it not a fitting end to die for a worthy cause? At least, that's what generations of masters before you have always believed.
The path they chose was indeed a heroic one. But when I think of those who would willingly sacrifice themselves for others, I cannot help but think that theirs are the lives least deserving of death.
When all this began, we agreed that once Ayu was old enough to help you gather herbs, It would be time for me to go. If you could only see him now. He took me all the way to Liyue Harbor to see the doctor. And he even got the Adventurers Guild to search for you. So, I know that you'll both be okay without me. I've said my goodbyes. My time has come. Do what you must.
As you wish.
Hey, stupid stone. You're stupid and you die now. That was easy. And has a heart attack.
It will eat away at both your cognition and your memories. In the end, you'll become little more than a shadow of your true self.
I'll take it. At the very least, it will allow me to stay with you and watch how you grow up.
Mom, something's really wrong with Dad. Don't fret, Ayu. I will gather some medicinal herbs right away. I promise you, nothing will happen to our family.
Why would these memories come to mind now? The longer we live, the tighter we cling to what we have.
Don't want to pay a voice actor.
Oh, how I would love to hear your voice one last time.
Jialiang! Jialiang!
They did pay for a voice.
Jialiang! Jialiang! Dad, are you awake?
What did you do?
Jiangli, are you? Didn't I... Huh? What are
Oh,
these?
he's a zombie.
How does it feel to come back to life?
You made him into a zombie.
Do you feel strange or different in any way? If so, could you describe it to me in detail?
Dr. Baishu, I thought that I was going to...
Die? You did indeed. As things stand now, you're more akin to a zombie than a human.
I'm a zombie?
That's right. Before we set off, I asked Chi-Chi to prepare an elixir of immortality. With its help, you have been suspended in the space between life and death.
That's terrible.
Of course, this is but a crude imitation of an Adeptus art. I don't expect it to extend your life indefinitely. Whether it will keep you alive for a few days, a few months, or a few years, I am as interested as you to find out. But, however long you have left, I believe it should be more than sufficient time for you to say your final goodbyes before departing the world in peace. I hope that Director Hu finds this arrangement to be a satisfactory one.
An elixir of immortality? How'd you cook that up? Ugh. Leave it to you to work on something like that behind my back.
It's a work in progress that hardly lives up to its name, and it would have had no effect were it not for Jialiang's iron will. In the end, I am merely a doctor. I understand very little of the great principles governing life and death and the perpetual cycle of yin and yang. All I know is that if I'm presented with a life that deserves to be saved, I will do everything in my power to save them. And even this would have counted for nothing without Director Hu's assistance. After all, did you not tell Jia Liang to show us the way before we set off for Qingsa village?
Oops. And I'm busted.
Without Director Hu nudging things in the right direction, we may not have found Jiang Li in time.
No wonder he didn't mention the elixir back then. I thought he was being frank and transparent with me for once, but apparently not.
Director Hu told me to keep her suggestion a secret, but it seems nothing escapes Dr. Baiju's attention.
Never underestimate a serpent's sense of smell.
All I wanted was to help Jialiang find his missing wife as soon as possible, so that he could be on his way to the afterlife without any unfulfilled wishes making the journey more difficult than it needs to be. Leave it to Boo Boo Pharmacy to snatch the perfect opportunity right out of my hands at the last hurdle. Never mind. I'll just have to put it down in the books as a deferred consideration. One Chi-Chi was enough of a conundrum. The last thing I need's another one. If I'd known this was coming, I'd have whisked him off to the Wangsheng funeral parlor the moment I found him.
You stay away from my dad! When I grow up, I'm gonna become an even better doctor than Mom.
Oh, is that
He's
right?
already dead.
Well, you wouldn't be the first person who's tried to put Wangsheng funeral parlor out of business. If you're serious about it, you'll have your work cut out for you. Traveler, Paimon, I'll catch you all another time.
Is she finally gone?
All's well that ends well. If you ask Paimon, we should probably do something to celebrate this hard-earned family At times like this, a grand celebratory feast is in order.
It feels like it was a whole lifetime ago when I last talked with Zhongli and Ayu around the dinner table.
Yay! Paimon can't wait! Alright, first things first, off to the market for some
Wait up! I'll come too!
Baiju, thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Don't mention it, Jiangli. I was just doing my duty.
Just your duty, huh? Baiju, Changshang, would you mind if we took this conversation outside?
Now that you are part zombie, there are some rules that you need to know.
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
First, don't forget to stretch your body regularly. Second, don't forget to...
Yes? Go on. Don't forget to...
I forgot.
Yeah, sa.
Time flies. It's been so long since we bade each other farewell in Chenyu Vale. Changshang, you're the same as ever. You haven't changed one bit.
You, on the other hand, have changed a lot.
You're right. My younger self would have never imagined that things would one day turn out this way. Or that you'd turn out this way, Baiju.
The doctor will see you.
A bitter pill to swallow.
I've taken a look at your elixir of immortality. It's not altogether dissimilar from the poison I concocted in terms of the way it functions.
I have to say, Jiangli, it was a stroke of genius to use poison to maintain life. I hope you're not too upset at me for copying your methods.
No, not at all. With your intellect, even if you'd never seen my poison, I believe you would have eventually arrived at the same approach. But I'm still impressed by how quickly you managed to gain such a thorough understanding of it. Jialiang's still only been in your care for a few days. Not just that, you even managed to improve upon the original formula. That cannot be explained by intellect alone. Baiju, be honest with me. Did you try out some of the poison on yourself?
told you the truth would surface sooner or later.
Life force isn't the only thing that Changsheng's contract lets you transfer between bodies, is it?
Nothing gets past you, Jiangli. You are correct. Besides life force, Changsheng's secret art also allows for the transfer of toxins and diseases. When I treated Jialiang for the second time, I transferred some of the poison from his body into my own. Not only did this allow me to alleviate the burden on him, but it also gave me an opportunity to study its properties. There is no need to worry about any long-term consequences to my health, however. Now that the source has been destroyed, any remaining poison in me will have already dissipated.
But you took such a huge risk. If we hadn't destroyed the god's remains back there, then even you might have... What am I saying? I'm in no position to criticize you for this. The reason I left our master and went into hiding all those years ago was that he was getting old, and I didn't want him using up any more of his own life force to treat my husband. But in the end, how were my methods any different? I risked one life to save another, and then you tried the poison on yourself too. It looks like both of us have ended up going the same way as our master before us. Are all disciples of Chenyu Vale destined to turn out this way? To live a short life, having given away our own for the sake of others? To fight relentlessly against the natural course of life and death, whatever the cost? Maybe our fate is sealed the moment we decide to study medicine.
We are doctors, Jiangli. We ought never say that anyone's fate is sealed.
Baizhu, I can tell that, over the years, you've used the contract with Changsheng to transfer many diseases and toxins to yourself. There are so many that, some of them, I don't even recognize. Can you still stop before it's too late?
I think you know the answer, Jiangli. Every one of us from Chenyu Vale believes in the same thing.
Mom, come and join us. The Traveler taught me a load of new recipes and said even Dad'll be able to taste them. Come and try them out.
Yes, darling. Mom will be there in just a second. Hey, slow down. Baizhu, I know I won't be able to convince you, but please don't forget that if one day you're not around anymore, Chi-Chi, Gui, and all the friends who have grown fond of you, they will all miss you dearly.
There's no need to worry, Jiangli. I know what I'm doing.
I can only hope so.
Baizhu, what did Jiang Li mean by not around anymore? Are you gonna be okay? Every single mortal I've ever contracted with, including Baizhu and Jiang Li's master, has passed away at a young age. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. You said that the contract with you helps people live longer.
It is a very long story.
If I have like an hour to live, then I can contract and live for 2 hours.
Long ago, when plagues ravaged the land, one doctor made a pledge to rid the world of pain and suffering. But even the most ingenious mortal medicine could not stay the tide of disease. And after working tirelessly for many years, even his dearest loved ones fell sick and bade their final farewell. Legends told of an herb lord in Chenyu Vale who could cure any illness known to mankind. The doctor sought the herb lord, but found only a white snake, its breathing weak and its power all but spent.
Sign this contract and let our lives be joined. Then I will impart to you the secret art of healing. But be warned, this art will harm your own health.
With means beyond human ken, the doctor could now reverse the process of death. And yet, the time still came to say goodbye. Only now, the one departing was the doctor, his life force spent. His final act in life was to pass on the contract to his final patient, his favorite disciple. The disciple chose to dedicate their life to saving the lives of others. And generation upon generation followed in these footsteps. Since I inherited this contract, I've always respected the path taken by my predecessors, and followed it myself unquestioningly. That is until I tried to use the art to save my own disciple's beloved. She begged me not to use up my own life force. She said that this art is a poisoned chalice, an evil and unnatural practice. She did not wish to sacrifice one life for the sake of another, when both were lives she treasured. Only then did it occur to me. Did I not suffer when my master passed away, just as patients' families do at their loved one's deathbed? Are not the lives cut short by this contract just as worthy of saving as any patients? What is this contract to us? Medicine or poison? Alas, I no longer have enough time left to find the answer. I entrust to your care both Changsheng and this final question. May you find a remedy for this conundrum, which has ailed us so.
Time and again, no matter how much I try to warn them or balance their chi, I can never save them. And you? What's your answer?
If I abandoned the contract and left you without a host, what would happen?
I suppose I'd spend my final moments taking a nice nap on Mount Yaojun. Then I'd be reunited with my old friends and your predecessors.
Then it's decided. If there's a life in front of me that deserves to be saved, why shouldn't I do everything within my power to save it?
Once again, it's the same answer. So be it. Close your eyes. Who knows how many more people will take on this contract?
None. This contract will end with me.
My contract has strict requirements on the host's natural temperament. All my hosts have been most pure of heart.
But when one with an altruistic nature gains access to this art, they are more seduced than the average person by the miracle of overturning the laws of life and death. Though they know better than anyone else the fate that awaits them, when faced with the sorrows of humanity and the pain of losing their nearest and dearest, they cannot help but reach beyond human means. They are like moths that throw themselves into the flame, seeking a glimmer of hope in a dark world filled with pain and suffering.
So, Baiyu, does that mean...
I suppose that would make me a moth that yearns for the light, but doesn't want to be burned to a crisp. Changsheng's art can transfer pain and suffering between people, but it cannot reduce the total amount of pain in the world. It's just like we witnessed. Either Jia Liang feared for Jiang Li's life, or Jiang Li grieved over Jia Liang's sacrifice. I have nothing but the utmost respect for my predecessors, who sacrificed their lives for their principles. But I do not wish to join their ranks, nor do I wish to pass on this contract to anyone else in the future.
Huh? But didn't you already transfer a ton of diseases onto yourself?
What makes a poison, poison? And what makes a disease, a disease? When it comes down to it, are not both mechanisms that affect the operations of the human body? If disease is defined as deviation from normal functioning, then who knows? Perhaps the true elixir of immortality could in fact be a kind of poison. Many may view the notion of searching for immortality in poisons and illnesses as a flagrant violation of the natural order. But to me, it is no different from the way our ancestors tested the medicinal qualities of herbs by sampling each and every one. I don't want those who come after me to lose their lives to this contract. Nor do I wish for Chengsheng to perish from losing her host. This leaves only one solution, doesn't it? Precisely. I will be Chengsheng's final host, and the tradition of passing down the contract will end with me.
Even the gods of old struggle to achieve true immortality. First you want to save others, then you want to save yourself. Now you even want to save me. You're getting greedy, Baiju.
But isn't wanting to have it all what makes us human? For a selfish moth like me, who's afraid of the flame yet yearns for the light, the only path forward is up towards the moon.
For once, Paimon just does not know what to say.
Dr. Baiju, Traveler, what are you still chatting about? The food's about to get cold.
We also have coconut milk for Changsheng and Paimon.
Okay, fine. Let's go grab some food. Paimon has a bunch of burning questions, but they can wait till after we've eaten. I do envy Paimon sometimes. Eating her fill is enough to satisfy her body and mind.
True. And yet, although we call them simple pleasures, are such things as these not precisely why we mortals cling desperately to the life we have?
at all these things. that can never be refined. There's only one of these in the entire game. Not with my resin, really. Guess I just try and get
Inactivities.
better artifacts.
Illusion shattered! Busted!
That's against the rules. Commit it to memory.
No. Shine down!
I'm getting sick of this game. Don't be scared. Yeah, yeah.
Will meet again.
Holy shit, elemental mastery one.
There is no escape! Quietly now. Game's up. Comes over. Busted.
The night is cold. Let's wait for your liver.
Will get regret.
Illusion shattered! Quietly now. Gotcha! Here comes the catch!
Not now. Hey!
Now you're testing Will get regret.
Shine down! Game's up. Fun is over.
Oh, line to command. Grow. Yeah.
Take it easy. Illusion shattered! Busted. Gotcha. Here comes the catch.
I'm dead. The night is cold. Stars shine. I see everything.
I think I'm gonna call there for tonight. Thank you all so much for coming. If you enjoyed this much more Children's Life Back stream, I'll be back tomorrow for some mystery games, but until then, have a great night, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.